Okay, I'm live and I am live early, but just by a couple of minutes. So that's fantastic. I am going to wait just a bit. If you are joining me and you're here early as well, please comment whether or not you are reading This is Happiness. And if you are, which I hope you are because it's a delightful book, where you're at in it. Or if you're one of those fortunate souls that has already finished reading This is Happiness, although maybe that's unfortunate, but you can always reread it. So it's certainly fortunate, I think. I'm pretty sure. Uh, but I would love to know what your favorite parts have been, any thoughts you have on it. So if you've been reading it, do please comment on that. And also, it is the Saturday. It's the Saturday. We're sassy here. It's a Saturday afternoon book club or after brunch book club. And so, if you had an amazing brunch, please share the details as well. But I am going to just wait to chat and I'm going to sip my tea because I'm a minute early. Last week, I had technical difficulties and that prevented me from going on time. So I decided I better try to start this early so that that wasn't a risk. I said I was going to sip my tea and I'm going to do it. Ooh, we've got 20 seconds. 20 seconds. Oh my gosh. The wait, the wait. All right. And if you are watching this in replay, and I'll mention this again, but if you're watching this in replay, please also make sure to comment about your fabulous brunch, your amazing Saturday, what you've loved about This is Happiness. And I'm just going to get my notes up here because I do not have everything just in here. I need to have it out here or it just leaves. All right. Make sure I've got this. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back. And it looks like I might be having one of those tech days. All right. I am going to plug this in, and we are at 3 o'clock. Welcome, everybody, to the Saturday After Brunch Travel Book Club. We are here to discuss This is Happiness today. If you've read it, please comment. Tell me how much you've loved it. The intention on this meeting is that we've read the first half of the book. I do want to give time and space to read the books versus, oh my gosh, reading a book a week, which I don't think anyone, well, I'm sure there are some people who can do that with dedication. I cannot read a book a week right now because I am incredibly busy. But before we get rolling too far, I should introduce myself. My name is Melissa Peterson. I am a travel advisor. My company is Travel Like You Dream It. I specialize in literary tourism and set jetting. And the countries that I'm most focused on because I have spent a lot of time in them are Ireland and Portugal. This book takes this book takes place in Ireland, which is part of the reason that I picked it. But also I should share that some of you might know me from Chris Plus Melissa. My husband and I had a travel channel, which is part of why I was able to spend so much time in Ireland and Portugal. And now here I am, and here we are. And I got myself off track because my notes didn't come up on my iPad, which is okay because I can get them on another screen here in a moment. I just didn't want to delay everything. Um, so we're talking about This is Happiness. I spent 3 months living in Ireland, which was fantastic. I didn't get to spend the entire time touring around because we both had to work and that sort of thing during the week, but we spent a lot of weekends adventuring around Ireland. So if you want, in addition to any comments you may have about This is Happiness, if you have any questions about Ireland, I am happy to field them. I don't know absolutely everything about the country, but I might know more than many in that I've spent a fair amount of time there. And I am going to get my fabulous notes up, which is why my eyes are wandering. and I apologize for that. All right. So if you're watching this in replay, please also comment about what you had for brunch and any insights that you felt you had while reading This Is Happiness or what you love about the book. Um, Making sure that I answer everything. Oh, and I want to know where you're joining me from. I will share that I am joining you from the Twin Cities metro area. Now, this Saturday after brunch book club happens most Saturdays, but not every Saturday. And next Saturday, I will be in Savannah, Georgia. So I will not be doing the travel book club that day, but I will probably be taking pictures with the book Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil in cool Savannah sites. That's my hope, anyway. All right. So I do want to take a moment to thank Drury Lane Books. Now, they are not sponsoring this by any means or any of that. However, they are the bookstore I was at when I picked up This Is Happiness because I asked the woman working there at the time. I believe she may have been the owner. And Drury Lane Books is in Grand Marais, Minnesota. It's up north. By like on the shores of Lake Superior. Actually, the bookstore is like right close to the shores of Lake Superior. It's a gorgeous little bookstore in a fantastic location. But when I was there, I wanted to get some like Ireland inspiration and take myself away to Ireland. And I asked the woman working there for some book recommendations, and this was one of them that she made. And I am enjoying this book so much. And I just feel that it is important to support small bookstores, especially at this time. And also, I love visiting local bookstores when I travel. If you're here and if you're into, book reviews and travel and book talk, I am guessing that you also visit cool local bookstores whenever you travel. Now, since I am going to Savannah soon, if you happen to know of a cool bookstore in Savannah, please comment on it. I will definitely do my best to visit it if you do. And then I'm going to be mentioning different bookstores as this progresses because I think it's a cool thing, in my opinion. And you see my eyes darting around again because I got this really cool map when I was oh, there it went. When I was at a bookstore recently. My husband and I were in Duluth, and we went to a few independent bookstores, and they all had this cool map. It's the Midwest Indie Bookstore Roadmap. Did you like my sound effect? Oh, actually, I really hope that my sound is good. But yeah, we were in Duluth. We went to Zenith Bookstore, which has this really cool mural outside. And we also went to the bookstore at Vickers. Sorry, it took me a moment to remember its name. But there I picked up another Irish-inspired book that is definitely going to be on this year's reading list because I really want to read it soon. All right. Did I cover all of that? Yes, I think that I did. All right. Oh, and what did I have for brunch? I had a very sad brunch. I need to up my brunch game since this is a Saturday after brunch book club. But I had soup and a sandwich. I just didn't have time. I am very excited. Our furniture arrived today. We recently moved into a new place, and I just did not have time to plan a better brunch. But I'm really craving scones right now for obvious reasons. So I think next Saturday I might bake some scones and do a better brunchy type thing for myself. Okay. Now, on to This Is Happiness. Where am I at in this book? Right now, I am just beyond page 190, which is the middle of the book. I'm on 199. I skipped just a little bit ahead of where I intended to because, well, it's really good. And when I reached page 190, I was like, oh my gosh, he is the most brilliant writer, Niall Williams, because I feel he's arrived at the midpoint on the exact middle page because the book is 380 pages long. And then I wrote a little bit ahead and I was like, ooh, I don't think that was the midpoint. We're in for some more treats in this book, but I won't spoil it for you right now because if you've just read to page 190, I don't want to mess things up for you. But it was really cool. Now, since this is a travel book club, and since I have a habit of highlighting any town or city or location that I find interesting in any book that I read, I thought it would be fun to start out with going through the locations talked about in this first half of the book. I don't think they're going to differ too much further down or further into the book, since it all pretty much takes place in Western Ireland. But I did want to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to need a sip of my tea. I apologize. I can feel my voice getting a little bit hoarse. I did a short reel on a tour that we have coming up, uh, called Witches, Spirits, and Castles, which I'll share a little bit more on later. But I did a short reel on it and I needed to get it done. And so I didn't do as many takes as maybe I could have. And my granddaughter saw it and she was like, Grandma, do you have a cold? I heard your voice and I know your voice and you sound like you have a cold. And I said, well, it's spring in Minnesota. It's probably allergies, but she's super sweet for noticing. Better. All right, on to locations in This Is Happiness. Now, the first one that I highlighted, and again, I highlight every location. It was Shannon Airport, and that was mostly because, well, any location, I'm going to mark it down. But also, I've been there, and it is a great place to fly into. You're close to Limerick and other spots well, in the western section of uh, Ireland, and it's low key. Like, I love Dublin Airport. There's nothing wrong with Dublin Airport. It's great. But flying into Shannon or Cork is also nice because it's just a little more low key. And also, flying out of Cork is more low key than flying out of Dublin. I've never flown out of Shannon, so I don't want to speak to that. But I have a feeling it's also just a little more relaxing. Uh, but all of the airports I feel there do a great job. Now, I do have a strong level of affection for Ireland, so it's kinda like, I don't know if Melissa's ever gonna say that anyone in Ireland ever does anything wrong, so there is that to consider. Alright, the next spot I have on the list that I noticed was Ennis, which I have not been to. It is a tidy town. Ireland has tidy towns, and I think it is the best thing in the world because it's this competition between towns throughout the country to be, like, yes, the cleanest, but also, kinda the most charming, I think, and they do different initiatives, and each year a different city or town gets the award, and really it's towns that get the award. I don't know what all of the rules are, but I lived in Kinsale, Ireland for 3 months, and that was a tidy town, and there's just something so relaxing about being in a place where there's a lot of care put into, appearance. Like, not in an artificial, snooty way, but just in that it's calming. I like it. I love well, I don't just like it, I love it. But also, one thing I should mention that I meant to mention before is This Is Happiness takes place in Faha, Ireland, which doesn't exist. It is located, the author says, in Western Ireland, kind of the far west. It's a very small town. And so these locations well, most of the locations that I'll be bringing up are also in Western Ireland, and they're also in a small town or they're small town locations. Now, the next place that he brings up, Kilkenny, County Clare, and I love his description of it. I have not been there, and I have heard of it because somebody had mentioned that really I should go to the cliffs there because the Cliffs of Moher are very famous. The Kerry Cliffs are very famous. I've been to both of those, but apparently the Kilkee, did I say it right? Kilkee Cliffs in County Clare are also worth a stop. Again, I haven't been, so I can't speak to that. But I love how he writes about it. And I apologize, my eyes are just going to be up, so I won't be like looking right at you. But I'm going to just read you this quote. It's fantastic. His description: most went into the water, only occasionally, and a good deal of these were trouser rolled to the knee men who stepped into the low waves at Kilkee with hats on and heads down, their whiter than white feet under the surface a source of some astonishment, and their big toes digging into the sand like an experiment in worms. As always, the women were more daring, and the sight of girls shrieking in the icy waters, holding high their skirts, and running bare legs back out of the foam was not uncommon, and one of the principal reasons for men going to the seaside. He has such charming descriptions. And another thing to know about Kilkee that I learned because of noticing this location and quote and being curious about the place is that it's supposed to be some of the best, safest water in Ireland to do exactly that and to get into the water to swim. You can also kayak and surf in Kilkee, and there are supposed to be some great walking trails, which is also good to know because Cliffs of Moher, if you are planning a trip to Ireland anytime soon, Cliffs of Moher has been having, I believe, some erosion and some trail issues. And so it might be nice to go ahead and go to Kilkee and check those out instead. Plus, well, although Cliffs of Moher has a really cool like museum setup, but the Kilkee Cliffs could be quite nice in that they'll be less touristy. Now, I don't have a problem with touristy things. I stubbornly love them as much as I love non-touristy things. I think it just depends on what you want to do on your travel or with your travel. Now, another place mentioned in this book is Kerry, uh, Kerry County, because people are from Kerry County in this book, and there is the Kerry County way of doing things, which I just love. Because then there's also, oh, well, he was from Limerick, and well, you know about those guys from Limerick. Kind of a tendency within this book that it's just delightful. Um, but I have written No's grandmother in the book, Dodie, is from Kerry, and there's Kerry people, Kerry sayings, Kerry ways. And in Kerry County, again, like I mentioned, there's the Kerry Cliffs, but there's also Skellig Michael that you can go out to. And if you happen to be a fan of Star Wars, that might be a place to check out. Oh, I still want to be a rock star says, hi there, Irish lady. Well, hi there, Mr. I still want to be a rock star, who is also my delightful husband, who is part of why I ended up in Ireland for 3 months, 3 marvelous months. All right. So then moving on, Limerick is mentioned in the book. And like I had mentioned, there's the pharmacist who comes from Limerick and has his Limerick ways. Uh, it is a fantastic city to visit. And I do think it would be great to put on any itinerary if you can. There's so much to see in Ireland. It's funny. It's like, oh, it's such a small place, but there's so much to see. Uh, we spent time in the medieval quarter. King John's Castle is really cool. St. Mary's Cathedral, St. John's Cathedral. Um, oh, Katie Daly's. Katie Daly's restaurant was a lot of fun. Now, this this location that's mentioned in the book is completely outside the box, and that is Finland. In this book, you do travel to Finland for just a moment because, sadly, during the 16th and 17th centuries, the English took away a lot of the timber. Okay, so Ireland's lands were deforested by them. Part of it was for building navy ships, and part of it was for clearing land for farming and setting up plantations, that sort of thing. So when it came time for them to get electricity, which is what a lot of this is happiness is about. I do apologize. I'm kind of presuming that you know the basics about the book because we are midway into it. But in the book, it just says that it's because of the East India Company. And it's not just because of the East India Company that there's not enough timber in Ireland. It's also because a lot of it was cleared uh, for farming and that sort of thing by the English in their kind of takeover of the land. And because of that, they had to go to Finland for timber in order to put up the electrical poles. Uh, and Finland definitely has plenty of timber and is a gorgeous country. I have had the good fortune to spend over a week, probably well, close to 2 weeks there. And if you ever have any questions about that, fantastic. I do also have my eye on a book on my shelf called The Almost Nearly Perfect People that I plan to put onto our book club list. So I haven't decided which month yet, but I might decide that later today. I need to make these decisions, right? Okay. And then that's all the places that I have to chat about that were in this book that I felt strongly about sharing. But another thing that I like to do when I'm reading a book is examine certain words. And there's only one so far that I'm like, ooh, I have got to share a little bit about this one. And that is kibosh. I was so surprised to see the word kibosh. And I was like, gosh, it's been a while since I've heard somebody use that word. And then I was thinking about it. I'm like, but I feel like I heard it quite a bit in my childhood. Ooh, was that like an Irish word? Is that, And it also made me think of it because he'll talk about his grandmother and some of her Irish words that she would use that you knew what was meant by the word. And I think kibosh is just such a funny word because it's, oh, we're going to put the kibosh on that. Oof, let's put the kibosh on it. And when I did look it up, the most realistic story on it is that it came into usage after Charles Dickens wrote about it in his Sketches by Boz. Um, but there is another unproven claim or unproven hypothesis to Irish words that I probably am going to mispronounce, but I'll try. There's no way it's going to be right. But it's like capita beige, CIP, DHP, and that's if my you know how computers can sometimes change your spelling on you. Space BHAIS. I'm pretty confident the second half of that is correct. But according to Merriam Webster's, it translates to cap of death, which is what a judge would wear when pronouncing a death sentence. So it's like, we're putting that idea to death right now. It's not happening. We'll put the kibosh on it. But I don't know. And gosh, I have been talking straight for 22 minutes. I need one more sip of tea. And again, at any time, if anybody wants to chime in, do feel free. I did mark one quote that I want to quick read before calling it a Saturday because it's been a busy one. Okay. The known world was not so circumscribed then, nor knowledge equated with facts. Story was a kind of human binding. I can't explain it any better than that. There was a telling everywhere because there were fewer sources of where to find out anything. There was more listening. A few did still speak of the rain, stood at gates in a drizzle, looked into the sky, made predictions inexact and individual, as if they were still versed in bird, berry, or water language. And for the most part, people indulged them, listened as if to a story, nodded, said, "Is that so?" and went away believing not a word, but to pass the story like human currency on to someone else. And I think part of this is happiness is like remembering those times when it wasn't such a flood of information and everything coming all at once, which I think we all talk about a lot. And, here I am on YouTube talking about, oh my God, there's so much information, so many people talking about so many things. And here I am, one of those people talking about so many things and adding to that river of, constancy. Uh, but I don't know. I think we can take in information in such a a leisurely way. And one of the reasons that I do like doing these longer live streams is I like to slow down. I like to not do a bunch of super fast TikToks, although I am now on TikTok and trying to regularly post, although we'll see how long that lasts because I don't like that hurried pace. I like a full story. And that leads me to the last thing that I wanted to chat about today, and that is if you're reading This Is Happiness, or if you've read This Is Happiness, why do you think at, at this point in reading it, like assuming you're halfway in and not completely done with it, what about it leads you to go, oh, it totally makes sense that this book is titled This Is Happiness? Because to me, I'm happy reading it. I love the language of it. I love the little moments like I was early until I was late. Um, and I'm just glancing at some other quotes because I, as my husband, who still wants to be a rock star, can attest, I have done a lot of highlighting of this book. And he's been like, why do you highlight so much? Um, ooh, And one other quote that I really just love, and I do think that this is happiness, like this way of existing in the world might be happiness. So, in answering the question that I posed, in the way that these things happen without an order or contract. Ooh, you know what? I'm going to because it's more fun to read it here than at a screen above you. I'm going to actually just go to the page. Oh, good. Okay. In the way that these things happen, without an order or contract, one man offering and another saying, all right, so horses were called up for the same tireless and unpaid duty as had been since the flood. And Sean Canady led 2 drafts up to Wayland's place to drag the timbers. And Maddie Keene had another horse over in Ryan's doing the same, and neither Sean nor Maddie were conscripted or salaried, but doing what they considered their bit. Because why shouldn't you? Because despite what an old man might fall prey to thinking in the gray afternoon of the world's saddest days, goodness is native. And I just love that. And it completely reminds me of my great Aunt Mary, who always, into her 90s, would point out that there's more good than bad in the world, where it's like, oh, you can be upset about this or upset about that. But, today a young man helped me cross the street. And so there's still good in the world. And, I do think that goodness is native. It's what most of us want to be. Maybe sometimes our way of being good isn't as beneficial as it could be. Speaking about myself as well there. Uh, but at any rate, this is happiness halfway in. I will not be here next Saturday because I will be in Savannah celebrating one of my granddaughter's birthdays and visiting with family. And then the following Saturday, we'll finish up This Is Happiness. And I will mention what the next book and place we will be exploring will be. Thank you so much for joining me, whether it was live or in the replay. I'm so happy that you're here. Happy reading, happy traveling. Cheers.